and the world demanded, the ultimate balance would be found right here. In the sunlit silence of Finn's kitchen, the sun had climbed and begun its slow descent, pulling the shadows long across the wooden floor of Finn's bedroom. They had spent the afternoon trying to make sense of the inventory Adrian needed to sort, a futile, distracted effort that only proved how quickly their professional ambitions dissolved when they were within reach of one another. The air in the room grew thick with the unspoken consequence of their reunion, vibrating with an anticipation that dwarfed the urgency of any Chicago concert schedule. Adrian was sitting on the edge of the bed, a stray piece of his grandmother's ledger in his hand, but his gaze was fixed on Finn, who was standing by the window, ostensibly looking at the sea, but clearly looking for a reason not to cross the space between them. Finn turned, and his eyes, a deep, molten grey, were alight with need. The controlled ease he usually wore was completely gone, replaced by a raw, demanding vulnerability. "We can't keep pretending the physics of this house are strong enough to hold us apart," Finn said, his voice low and ragged, an octave deeper than usual. He crossed the room in 2 quick strides, taking the ledger from Adrian's hand and tossing it carelessly onto the floor. "I don't want to pretend anymore," Adrian admitted, reaching up, his hands finding the familiar warmth of Finn's neck, pulling him down. The kiss that followed was a magnificent explosion, shattering the last fragments of the careful distance they had maintained. It was starved and desperate, the sound of 2 halves of a melody crashing back into sync. Adrian tasted the decade of separation, the loneliness, the ambition, the regret, and it was all immediately overwhelmed by the fierce, singular taste of now. Finn lifted Adrian, his strong arms sure and steady, and pressed him back onto the mattress. His weight settled over Adrian, heavy and utterly familiar, a reassuring pressure that Adrian instinctively welcomed. "I miss this," Finn breathed out against Adrian's jaw, scattering kisses along the vulnerable curve of his neck. "I miss the language of your skin. I miss the way you sigh when I touch you right here." Adrian arched into the touch, a low, uncontrolled moan escaping him. "Don't talk, just play," he whispered, urging Finn on. Finn took that command and ran with it. He stripped away the layers of clothing with a concentrated focus that mirrored his composition work, treating each piece of fabric as a hurdle to be cleared. His hands were everywhere, strong, artistic, and entirely reverent. Adrian felt a deep, profound joy in the knowledge that Finn's touch was not just physical, but recognition. Finn knew the topography of his body better than anyone, knew the muscle tension from the cello, the stiffness in his shoulders, the exact places where the emotional weight had settled. Finn moved slowly, deliberately, tracing patterns of fire across Adrian's skin, a composer charting a complex score. He lingered where the skin was soft, then pressed where the tension was rigid, working out 10 years of professional focus and emotional control. "You are so beautiful," Finn murmured, his voice thick with devotion. He knelt beside the bed, gazing at Adrian with an adoration that brought a sudden, surprising rush of tears to Adrian's eyes. It was a gaze that didn't judge or demand, but simply cherished. Adrian reached out and guided Finn back up, pulling him down until their hearts were beating against each other, a fierce twin rhythm. "This isn't about the past, Finn," Adrian managed, his voice shaky with emotion and passion. "This is a future cadence, a resolution." "It's a promise," Finn agreed, his voice a low, beautiful rumble, before he pressed his mouth against Adrian's one final time, dissolving the last barrier between them.